I'm going to show you how to use a Mac to download, open, navigate, all the things that you need to do in order to be able to use the file system properly. So let's start with downloading and opening a file. So what we want to do is we want to select our file for this project. We'll find it in the lighting folder, programming the show, theater tech, and it opens like this. And you'll notice that there's no way to download this. What it wants to do, first of all, is it wants to see if you want to open up this compressed file in Google Chrome or in Google Drive. But we don't. We want to download it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on these three buttons, the More Actions buttons, and we're going to open in a new window. And now you'll see that the download button is here. Why that doesn't come up in the first place, I don't know. But when we click that, what it's going to do is it's going to download that file for us. All right, so if we click on this, what it's going to do is it's going to give us our download history, and it gives us a couple options. We can either open this file or we can show in Finder. Now, by default, all downloaded folder files go into the downloads folder. Okay, Theater Tech Spring, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Now that this is downloaded and on our computer, what we can do is we can open up the program that it needs to open up that file. There's a couple of different ways that you can open up a program or an application on a Mac. One way is to hit the command button and the space button at the same time. You'll notice that it brings up this search bar right here. And if you start to type in the program, it'll automatically come up. Another thing you can do is you can open up your Launchpad. On the Macs in the computer lab, it's going to be down here next to the Finder. And if you do that, there's a search bar here. And you can start to type in EOS, and you can open it up. Either way is fine. Now, when you open it up, it gives you this welcome screen first. And what we want is we want offline. So in just a second, that's going to open up. And if this is your first time opening up, your screen is going to look different than mine. Don't worry about that for the moment. What we're going to do instead is we are going to learn how to open up a file. So down here is a little triangle, and what that does is that when you click it, it opens up this bottom half of the screen. This is called the CIA here. And you'll notice that it gives you some options here: file, exit, setup, etc., etc. In order to open up a file that you have on your computer, you're going to want to click File, and then Open, and then navigate to the folder where it is. We know it's in the Downloads folder, so we'll click that, and then we'll find the one that you downloaded, and there it is. And if you double-click it, what it does now is it asks, are you sure you want to open this file? I'm going to click OK. And there it is. It is now opened. If I want to save my changes, let's say I go and I do some work and I make some changes, what I'll want to do is I want to go back to File, and I want to go to Save. And I'll double click that. Do you really want to save? Yes, I do. There. And when I'm not using this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click it Close so that I have the most screen available to me. When I'm done, what I want to do is I want to come here and I want to go to Exit. Do you really want to quit? Yes. And what it will do is it'll close out that app, and it'll bring me back to this welcome window here. Okay. What I'll do is I'll open that back up again, and I'll show you how to set up your views. Okay. So your screen might look like this now that you have opened up the proper file. And you'll notice that it has a lot of information here. You'll have some of these squares, and then you'll have some just random numbers. Well, they're not random, they're in numerical order. And then you'll have this for some of them, and you'll have this for some of them. So let's talk about what all these are. Anything that you see highlighted or bright and with the square around it, that is what's called a patched channel. Those are the channels that you have available to you. So that includes 1 through 84, and also 101 through 115. Now, the difference between these two is that these are just conventional instruments. These are ellipsoidals. They only turn on and off. Now, you can have them turned on or off at any variation from 0 to 100, but they only turn on and off. Color changing DMX fixtures, like the Vivid R or the color source Psych Direct, those have additional parameters. You can change the colors, and so they have different information they show you here, in addition to the intensity, which is on and off. So how do you clean up this view? Well, one thing that you can do is you can come up here to your pop-up virtual keyboard, and you can click the Flexi button. This is not great because what you need to do is you need to be able to see what's up in this corner in order for this to work. You can try it here by clicking Flexi, and then you might notice that all of the stuff that you don't need disappears. So all that's left now are just the channels that are available to you. If that doesn't work out for you, then what you can do is you can split your screen, and you can put your virtual keyboard on the other screen. We're going to be splitting our screen anyway for other features, so let's do that right now. If you come up here to the little display icon where it says 1, and you click it, you can click different configurations. We want a 2-column configuration. Okay, so it's going to keep our patch channels on one side, and what we can do is we can add things here. One of the things that we can add is the virtual keyboard by pushing the plus and then finding virtual keyboard and clicking it there. Now if we click Flexi, well, you have to select the window you want to change. If we click Flexi now, you'll notice that it will scroll through a bunch of different options, and you can see what's featured there. We want patch channels, so we can just leave it like that. Okay, another thing that we want to do is we want to add our augmented tab. So what that's going to do is that's going to give us a view of our stage while we're working. If you get a dialog that says, would you like to do this? Please let it do this. Okay. So this is a stage, and you'll see some lighting instruments hanging up above. We are zoomed quite in, so what we can do is we can use the arrow keys. If I use the down arrow key, it's going to go down, and if I use the up arrow key, it's going to go up. If I hold shift, it will go back and forth. So I'm going to hold shift, I'm going to zoom out, and this is going to give me a better view here. And so what will happen is that as I turn on a light, and I'm going to turn on light number 1, you'll notice that the light comes on the stage. Now, this is not an exact representation of what we're going to see in the auditorium, but it's a close approximation. So what we want to do now is we want to turn that light off, and it disappears. And you'll notice that the information on this side changes, right? So when we turned the light on, it said FL, or full. We could also have it say 100. We could have it say 1 at 100, or we can have it say 1 at 50, or we can have it say out, and it's at 0. And you'll notice that it's red. That's going to change when we start writing our cues, but a little more of that in a moment. So these are our conventional lights. So if we say 1 through 6, it turns on our first row of front lights. If we say 7 through 12, turns on our second row of front lights. We can say 1 through 6 out. Okay, and we have some representations of people on stage so the lights can hit them. We also have some side lights. Let's do backlights first. 51 through 54. Okay, those are some backlights. And we have cool backlights as well. That's 71 through 75. And you'll see that they are focused to pretty much the same spot. I tried to get them as close to the diagram that I handed out in class. And we'll turn those other ones off as well. Now you'll notice that as I am typing things in, there is a command line down here. This will tell you what it is that you're typing in or which commands you're going to be using. In addition to those conventional fixtures, those ellipsoidals that just turn on and off, we do have some color changing fixtures, and we can play with those right now. So we have 101 through 115, 101 through 115. Turn those on full, and you'll see them there. They're pretty tight beams here in augmented space. On stage, they are definitely more diffused and spread more evenly. But they are going to be a little less noticeable on stage than they are right here. And the intensity of these beams are to help you pick your colors and things like that. So how do we pick our colors? Well, first of all, we make sure we select the fixtures that we want. Okay, and that's these 15 right now. And you can tell because they're highlighted in yellow here. And you can maybe also see that they are highlighted in yellow on this screen as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our color picker tab. Our color picker tab is not here, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit the plus, and we're going to come to color picker. And what we'll do now is with color picker open and those lights selected, we can go through and we can pick what color we want. Okay. Same thing with our cyc lights. So those are 301 through 309. And you'll notice that our cyc lights are now on. You'll notice that they're pretty tightly focused there, which is different than what we'll see on stage. But this is good for right now. And what we can do is we can change those. Now, the thing to remember here is that it's only changing the colors of the lights that are selected. So you'll notice that the Vividars are not selected and they are not changing. They are the same. So if you want multiple lights to have the same color in them, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select all of those lights and you're going to want to change them all at once. So if we wanted to take the front row of Vividars and make those a different color, what we'd want to do is we want to go to 101 through 105, enter, and we'll want to change those. Okay. So you see how that works now? All right. So let's get out of the color picker. Let's go back to our live table patch. Okay. Let's turn off all these lights. Let's say 1 through 500. And that turned off all the lights. Okay. So let's write our first couple of cues here. Let's zoom out so we can see what's happening here. Okay, first cue that we're going to write is going to be some house light cues. Now, when we work on our house light cues, you are not going to see them here in Augmented because these are just for stage lights. The house lights are over the audience. They're important to have in our show file, but they are not going to show up on stage. So let's start with our house lights, which are 700, and we'll say 700 at full. Now, we can do that by pushing the letter A and then the letter F and then hit return. And that will bring us at full. We can say A for at and then 100 and then hit return for full. Or we can just hit the F button twice. Now, again, you're not seeing any changes here, but what you will see is you'll see a change right here. And right now, that change is that FL 700 is in red. But when we write our first cue, that's going to change. So writing a cue, we hit R for record, Q for cue, and I'm going to say 1, and we're going to hit return, enter. And we just recorded cue number 1. So this is house on at full. The other thing we can do is we can label this. If we push the L key, it brings up a keyboard, and you'll notice that it says over here, Q1 label. And what we do is we just start typing in house full, HOUSE space FULL, enter. And so now we have this cue named as house full. Let's change this to our next cue, and we'll say 700 at 5, and you'll notice that now it goes to 50. You'll notice that it is turned red again because we don't have this written into a cue. So what we'll do now is we'll hit record cue, and we'll call this cue 5, and we'll hit enter. And then we'll label this again, and we'll say house have. Now you'll notice that the colors have changed a little bit here. So let's explain what those color changes are. Anytime that you go from Q to Q and there's no change at all, it's going to be purple. Anytime that you go from Q to Q and it is going up, it's going to turn blue. And the way to remember this is that up is the sky and the sky is blue. Anytime it's going down, it's going to turn green because down is the grass and the grass is green. So when we went to Q number 1, 700 at full was blue after we wrote it into the Q because it went from 0 to 100. It was going up. Now for Q number 5, it's going from 100 to 50. It's going down, so it is green. And what we're going to do now is we're going to say 700 out. And now you'll notice that it's red because we haven't written it into a Q. But when we write it into a Q, it's going to be green because we're going down from 50 to 0. So let's record that Q. RQ10, enter, and you'll notice that it turned green. We'll label this black out. You don't need to label all of your Qs, but it's helpful to label certain Qs as you go through, demonstrating particular changes, because what's going to happen now is that we are going to have a list. And here is our list. Our list is showing us which Qs we've written, how long it takes for them to execute, and will give us other information, including any label information that we have. If you can't see this on your screen, then you can click the right arrow button and it will move over. It will continue to move over until it runs out of columns to show you. Okay, so we've just written our first 3 Qs. Now those are going to be the same no matter what your program is. And then we'll have some blackout Qs at the end as well, but we'll write those later on.